What is going on, guys? All right. Sorry for the delay. Had to speak to a few of the guys before they headed out of here tonight, so we're a little behind. But we're live. We are live, and we're going to have a good time tonight. I think we're going to have an excellent time. And it's all due to how cool our industry is and how cool you guys are and how much fun, how much we enjoy doing what we do here at PBH. And the rest will be the history that we're writing day to day. So yes, this is PBH Live, episode 43. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting us all the time. Even if you haven't bought PBH products before, even watching this video, liking it, commenting on it, supports PBH. So thank you for your support. My name is Frank Perdomo. I work here at Power by the Hour Performance. We are Coyote Swap 6R80 and 10R80 specialists, working on Godzilla stuff, potentially, but mainly Coyote Swap stuff. So our show is focused on Coyote Swap topics, products, developments, general chit-chat, sometimes even beer. And we do have a live chat room, but you can participate with the show. If you have a direct question that you need to ask and we need to cover it, there is a super chat available. There are already a few super chats in there right now. We're going to cover those here in a second before we get rolling too deep. But yes, you can participate in the regular chat and put up questions. There's a lot of really cool people in there, knowledgeable people in our chat room that can even answer some of those questions for you. If you're not in the super chat and you don't get your question answered in the regular chat, you can email us info@pbhperformance.com. Our website is pbhperformance.com. You can call us Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 561-737-2331. We got 4 guys on the phone, myself, Frank Pezzo, Christian Papa, Travis Dean, all very knowledgeable, all very helpful. And you can email us again, info@pbhperformance.com, where we can all help you out as well. Social media, we are on Facebook and Instagram, so feel free to hop on there and follow us as we start putting some more information out there. There's going to be, I guess tonight's topic is going to be CAN bus, how to source it, how to tap into it, where to find it in your Coyote swaps and stock vehicles, as it does apply to it, because everything we do is kind of stock. But before we get rolling too hard, I'm going to thank, I don't know if he's on here or not, if Bondo Bird is on here. Bondo Bird, he did send me a really cool shirt. And if you don't know who Bondo Bird is, he is the Firebird covered in Bondo. It's Coyote swapped. He just put an AEM in it and got it running the other day. Sent me the video of that. Looks pretty cool. Car hauls ass for a stick vehicle. He's getting some new changes put into it. And it's going to be really, really cool. I believe his name is Josh Godinez. Godinez, yes. So, before we start saying hello to everybody, we're going to pop the top on this Father Francisco. Sweet nectar of the gods. And we're going to say who's first. Who was first today? There's first, and there's the mega first, and there's the mega super first. And that was right after I loaded the video. Root Beer chimed in with a super mega first. The first super mega first in the history of PBH Live. And Wild Horse was there to say, go ahead and screenshot it. Well, guess what, guys? I did. Not only a screenshot, I put it in the video. So Root Beer was officially first. And then we'll scroll up and see who was first here tonight. 2000 MCR chimed in on the new version of the chat once we go live. It resets or whatnot. Root Beer is there. He's kind of telling, but how we doing tonight, guys? 2000 MCR, Root Beer, what's going on? Brian Shade, how we doing? Wild Horse 50, what up, what up? Let's see, who else? Well, you guys were talking for a while there. Rowdy Max, how we doing, brother? Glasses, I don't have any shades on me. I know the future's bright, but for the show, it works out better without them, you know. Frank Weaver, good morning, good morning. Renner 595959, one of my favorite coops, chiming in. Zachary Anderson, how we doing, brother? Mark Warren, Built for Speed. Juan Jimenez. Tim Austin retracted his message. Chris Shifts, how we doing? See if I miss anybody in there. JB, how we doing tonight? Did I miss anybody? I think that's everybody who was in the super chat. So, in the regular chat. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for being here, guys. Let's have some fun. Tim Austin did put in a super chat before we get into our topic tonight. We'll cover what these guys had to ask. He says I'm considering an Edelbrock ProFlow standalone for my Coyote Factory 5 build. Is this a mistake, and why? Well, I don't think I don't know too much about the Edelbrock ProFlow. I've heard about the Hollies, but with standalones in general. Obviously, if you have it for your Coyote engine, and I anticipate that you're talking about putting on a Coyote, although I have never heard of the Edelbrock ProFlow. I'm going to look it up real quick. Edelbrock ProFlow for a Coyote. It looks like they got something. ProFlow. All right, so if they do have something, I don't see here during my quick search, but if they have a standalone for a Coyote engine, A, you want to make sure that it has controls for VCT. If not, you're locking those out. Is it going to work with an electronic throttle body or a cable throttle body? The other question you're going to want to run through your mind is, how well-versed are you on custom tuning? If you are not 1,000% well-versed on custom tuning through a standalone, you've never tuned a Coyote, who are you going to go to when you run into a wall as far as tuning, drivability concerns? Because the expectation with any 5-liter Coyote engine is that it's going to run just like factory, if not better, more performance and so forth. Being it's a factory 5, I doubt you're going to have an automatic transmission in there. It's going to be stick. So it does simplify tuning in a way because you don't have to worry about any calibrations for the transmission itself. Your concern is going to be make sure it doesn't stall, make sure it doesn't stumble, make sure it doesn't overheat, makes power, doesn't blow up. Right? So, not being super well-versed in an Edelbrock ProFlow, being a Coyote swap guy in the industry, I would say heavily in the industry, I've never heard of that standalone, so I don't have an opinion on it. I would say that you better do a lot of research and find a lot of people that have used it before. If you can't find those people, it's probably not going to be a good option for you. I know there's a lot of guys that run the Holly. The Holly stuff seemingly is vetted for a stick and a Coyote, depending on what generation you're running, might be a better option for you. If you're not a 1000, figure all my standalones out, I know how to tune, and I can get it figured out, kind of stuff, right? If you're not that guy, which there aren't 1,000, they don't grow those guys on trees, make sure you make contact with somebody who can support you or help you if you have trouble with it, and make sure that Edelbrock has support for it, and how easy is it to get support for it. A lot of questions to answer there. With standalones, those are all the things I always bring to mind. If they have controls for the stock throttle body, stock injectors, and stock VCT, then it should run like stock. If you got to do stuff like lock your cams and put a mechanical throttle body on there, I can't tell you you're ever going to get that engine to run completely stock. So does that mean it's going to run perfect at idle and stumble up top? Does it mean it's going to stall at every light and rip down the track? I don't know. That's really going to be up to whoever is tuning it for you. So do a lot of homework on that, Tim. If you can, send me the link to that system in an email. Send it to frank@pbhperformance.com. That's my direct email. I'd like to know what they're offering because that's the first time I've heard about it for a Coyote. So I'd like to see what it is, and I can try to get you some more information if I can find it from that point on, JB, and by the way, Tim, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. JB chimes in as well. He's got a super chat. He says, hey, Frank, what do you think is going to happen to people's modified cars if the EPA head their way? Now, the EPA, I put links in the description of this video to a lot of the videos that are from hearings where congressmen and representatives from different states are talking to representatives of the EPA and SEMA, and over, the EPA states we've never enforced upon the individual. So I don't think you're going to see raids at local drag strips for EPA compatibility. Is it completely out of the range of the EPA to do that? No. Things could go like that. I mean, they could just literally shut down drag strips by doing that. And other road courses too. They're not immune. Autocrosses, that kind of stuff. But I don't think at this point they're not planning on doing that. What they're doing is they're approaching it as a mosquito-infested swamp, right? if I want to get rid of the mosquitoes, am I going to sit at the bank and shoot each one, or am I going to drain the swamp? Draining the swamp means that they're going to get rid of the source of the products that allow you to do what you're doing. And if they do that, their charter to do that is by their rules and their interpretation of the rules, saying that you cannot convert an emissions control vehicle for racing purposes. That there eliminates the loophole of off-road use. If you eliminate that loophole, then you cannot create off-road products. If you do, $4,800 fine every time you sell one. Right? So I don't think they're going to knock on your door and go, I need to check for the cats on your 91 Mustang. Oh, you don't have any. Here's a $10,000 fine, and here's a gun to your head, because if you refuse to pay it, I'm going to arrest you. You will go to jail, and you will lose your livelihood. Because that's what that means. These fines, all this stuff, by metaphor, is a gun. Anytime the government gets involved in regulation, there's a gun behind it. Because if you don't follow their rules, if you don't go to the hearings, if you don't stop what you're telling you can't do, they will arrest you, and that's the gun. So just keep that in mind. Now, I will tell you, one of those videos is Congressman Hudson from North Carolina, who so far is the only person I've seen actually speak to an APA representative in that style of hearing to actually mimic and echo what all of us are saying. Look up Representative Hudson from North Carolina, send him an email, thank him, and let him know what you're talking about, even though you don't live in that area. Okay, I did speak to his office today. I'm going to reach out to their communications director and see if there's any opportunity for us to get an update from him, or maybe even interview him. Even if it's not on YouTube or something like that. His video went from having like 250 views a week and a half ago when all this stuff really started taking off. It's got over 10,000 views now. So watch that video, like that video, because that shows them that this is a hot button topic. And I imagine in politics, whatever's current is going to be what they need to hop on. If there's a way we can donate to his office or his campaign or whatever, this and that, we need to kind of do it, because if he's going to be the voice that is going to get in front of the mic and go after these people and try to get this stuff figured out, at least find us a happy medium, get our exemption back, or find some other way of doing it, we need somebody on the inside to tell us what to do here, because we're all saying the same thing and none of our voices are being heard. So RPM Act, all that stuff is part of it. But this dude is the only dude. He sounded like a regular dude. He's sounded like a guy you meet at the bar kind of thing, you know. So, and there's other representatives. I put another video in there from one of them and a couple other people. So search these videos. They are online. EPA has a YouTube channel. Don't harass anybody. Don't do anything like that. But voice your displeasure. This is an open forum, public forum. You can do that. You can do that. So if there's something the EPA is putting out a video on that you don't agree with or disagree with, let them know. You know, like it, don't like it. You know, all that stuff is part of the process. So, Michael Lanehart, thank you for the super chat. Gen 1 Mustang Coyote, 2008 Mustang 3650 Trans with a 6060 harness with a PBH body harness. Everything on the gauges work except speedo. Do I need a Dakota Digital box to get it to work? No. If it's Gen 1, make sure that your tuner has adjusted for the tooth difference in the transmission. Remember, you have a Coyote computer. The MT82 has a certain pattern and PPM. You got to make sure that now your Coyote is calculating as if it's a 3650. So that should alleviate your speedometer issues. I don't think you're going to need an adjuster box, because you can, once you have that figured out in the calibration, you can make adjustments for it. So if you need any more guidance on that, Frank at PBHperformance.com, info at PBHperformance.com. We just helped Dover do the same thing on the swap they did at Foxcast Media, which, hey, there's Caleb right there in the chat room saying sign the RPM Act. Yeah, if you haven't signed the RPM Act, please do it. I know Steve Gell's printed some flyers, is going out with, I think it's Hypermotive that he's with, and they're going to be putting it in every shipment they send out and asking people to sign it. And urge the companies that you do business with. I mean, it's not too, it may be a little forward, but if you're dealing with a company and buying products, ask them what their stance is on it. We should all be in this together. Whether you're my competition or a dealer of mine, we should all be in this together, because this is our industry. This is our part of the sandbox. We may not be NASCAR or Indy Racing or NHRA, but to a lot of the people in the EPA listening to those videos, that's what they're stereotyping us as. They think that every gearhead on Sunday is on the couch watching NASCAR or aspires to be a NASCAR driver, right? Well, no. What about me? I'm not into NASCAR. I may watch the Daytona 500. That's it. Indy 500. Okay, cool. I'm more into tune with what we're doing here and what we do on a local road course, a local drag strip, which is a local business that provides jobs. The EPA says all the time that their regulations do not kill jobs. If they don't update this exemption now, $50 billion industry, motorsports, you think how much of that is really going to be left if you only think it's NASCAR, Indy, NHRA, IMSA? And you know why they're okay? Is because they're lobbying to be okay. They got money to do that. PBIR isn't going to lobby a representative to go to Congress to help save their business. PBH can't afford it either. We also can't afford all these fines. So if you're telling me you're not costing the general public jobs, well, then you better reevaluate how you're fining these businesses that you don't even really have a charter to do. So, again, voice your opinion. In an era where there's seemingly so much activism, this is just another cause, and we're not virtue signaling. This is a way of life for a lot of us. This is what we like to do. Okay? I'm not going to learn how to code. I probably could do it. I'll probably become a welder. Learn how to do that. Maybe go work on something else out of state. I don't know. But I could always sell. I worked at Radio Shack for 3 years. I was a good salesman. They're gone. So, yes. All those things are going on. As far as the RPM Act, sign it. Contact the representatives that are supporting the RPM Act and let them know how you feel. Call their office. I called this office today. First ring picked up. That guy took notes, passes it along to the superiors. It may go in the trash can. I don't know. But I was able to speak to somebody and voice my opinion to them. All these guys have offices in D.C. Talk to them. Send them an email. That kind of stuff. Anyway. So, let's see here. I saw a prototype part here at the shop today. I would like to let you guys know that in the coming weeks, we will have a Gen 3 oil pan conversion kit where you can eliminate the Gen 3 plastic Kevlar oil pan, and we will supply you with a custom pickup tube that'll work with the Gen 3 oil pump, come with all the hardware to install it, and give you a Gen 2 oil pan to replace the Kevlar one, the plastic one, composite one, whatever. That way, it's a little bit smaller, and you don't have to use an aftermarket oil pan. So that is coming. We are in the manufacturing process right now for that. And since it's just the oiling system, it's virtually impossible to be regulated by the EPA. Hey, they got jobs to do too. I don't blame them, but you know, hey, this is public court here, man. Everything goes. CAN bus. The subject of tonight for the coyote swap is CAN bus. The CAN bus signal is always going to be part of the conversation when it comes to coyotes because it handles so much. Tuning is done via CAN bus. All the data logging you do, that's CAN bus information. And where it's really important to us is gauges. It's also responsible for electric steering in a factory car. When you look at the steering rack in an 11-up Mustang, there's two connectors. Two big, thick wires, power and ground. And then there's a couple small ones. Two of those are CAN bus. It's how it's communicating with basically the onboard PCM in the steering rack. So what I want to talk to you guys tonight, really as it relates to gauges and anything else that's CAN bus, is how to get that signal, where to find it, and then how to get it without eliminating your OBD2 port, your data link connector, what you would use for diagnosis, what you would use for tuning to communicate with the vehicle. So let's look at our OBD2 connectors. I did the research today. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, they're all the same. It's a 16-pin DLC, as they call it, connector 241, 257, or whatnot in the harness. All the control packs have them. If you have a control pack or a custom harness that doesn't have it, it was built wrong. You have to have an OBD2 port. That's not an option. Now, my Gen 1 control pack, right from Ford, coming out of the back of the OBD2 port, had 2 additional wires that were for CAN bus. The reason why they did this is the FR500 race cars that use that control pack had an AIM dash, AIM, similar to a race pack or an aftermarket dashboard, even Dakota Digital at that point. Now, the nature of CAN bus, it's the high-speed network that we want to communicate with. Across all 3 generations, it's white with blue, or blue with white. And we'll show you the colors right now. Let's go to it real quick. OBD2 CAN bus. Okay. So this is an OBD2 connector. You find these, again, on every factory vehicle and every control pack. 16-pin. It's usually under the dash, clearly labeled. So this one here being the 20, I think this is a Gen 2 schematic, but it doesn't matter. Between all of the CAN bus, all the generations of the Coyotes, the CAN bus signals are always going to be the same colors. So if we look at, let's find CAN bus high speed high. Now, high speed high, high speed low. It's kind of an oxymoron, right? What they're saying is high speed positive, high speed negative. The high speed network of communication, but then there's a high and a low, right? And that'll be reflected in most of the devices that you're going to be trying hooking to your CAN bus. Now, if you look at this one in particular, high speed high, white with blue tracer, that is pin number 6. And then high speed low is white, pin 14. Now, what this means for you is if you look at your OBD2 connector, you see all the wires coming out of the back. This is a factory replacement pigtail, so the wires are not colored. They're just either going to be green or black, and you got to go by the pin position. But if that was factory, and you wanted to wire in your Dakota Digital cluster to it, you would essentially remove the connector from the OBD2 portal on the Dakota Digital BIM module and reveal the bare wires. Now, before you do that, you want to identify which ones are which, right? So you go back to your diagram and go, okay, on the Dakota Digital connector, what color wire are they using in position 14 and 6? Okay. You also want to see where your ground is and where the power is. See where it says fuse 20 or circuit breaker? You're going to identify those things because that's what you're going to use to then power the signal to the box and then get your positive and negative, your high and your low. Then what you're going to do is go back to your connector. Once you lop off that factory in, make the wires exposed, and you're going to start working on trying to T-tap into that network. You're not going to cut it and remove it from the OBD2 connector because the whole idea is to continue to have a signal there. So you need to keep it intact and you want to tap into it. It's like putting your foot in a raging river so you can feel how cold the water is, right? You're just tapping into it and supplying signal to another portal. All right? And we'll show you some of the T-tap options you have or different soldering techniques and stuff like that you might be able to do to get the signal here in a second. But I want to just scroll through these OBD2 connectors so you guys aren't afraid of it. And if you need this for your project, email me. I'll send it to you. All 3 generations are the same. They do have different positions for stuff, different fuses and breakers and stuff like that. But if you look, this is another generation. white, pin 14. White with blue, pin 6. That's the high speed high, high speed low. And there's a ground, 5. Another factory plate. These are all from 3 different generations. You want a part number 4, there's WPT 615, top left of the screen. If you need to replace one, you can buy those from a lot of auto parts stores and Ford. Here's another variation. I think this one should be Gen 3. There it is. Pin 14. Connector. Diagnostic. Can, bus, high speed, low. And number 6, white with blue. Can, high speed, high. Ground, number 5. 16. Driven device. What happened just now? Oh, I lost my computer. Hey, I think I lost you guys for a second. Everything good? We're still connected? Something happened. All right. So yeah, that will take care of your signal. There we go. I think we're back. Yeah. Now we're going to show you some of the things you can do for what they call T-tapping that line or intersecting with it. There's Scotch locks. There are T-taps. You can literally go in there and just make your own. As you see here on the screen right now, twist and solder. I don't really like the idea of soldering it because I don't want the solder to maybe create any resistance. I would try to use something more mechanical in nature, where your Scotch lock, which I've never really loved Scotch locks. Scotch locks are for trailers and shit like that. But there's no power going through this. This is just communication. That's why the wires are actually very thin. You never see big gauge wires for the CAN bus. They're usually a lot smaller because they're not a ground and they're not power. Now, the other location that you're going to find your CAN bus signal in a coyote swap, and yeah, no, I think we're back completely. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong buttons here, and I think I blanked the screen for a second. So when we're looking at the CAN bus, if you don't want to mess with the OBDII connector, that's just too messy. I don't like it. I don't want to mess with that. It's visible. My wiring guy doesn't like it. It's hard to get to, that kind of stuff. There is a 16-pin connector that goes between the engine harness, between the body harness, and the engine harness in most cases. And in that 16-pin connector, you will find the CAN bus signal for the electric steering. Now, in a control pack, you don't have connections for that. So you can find that 16-pin connector, and if it's still in the factory harness, and that factory harness has it all the way through to the PCM, you can just go right into that connector and pull your CAN bus signal. There's no power there for you, so if you need power, you're going to have to source it 12 volts for gauges, that kind of stuff, but that's usually easy enough to do for an ignition switch or a fuse panel, that kind of stuff. But the CAN bus signal's there. CAN bus signal is used, again, for electric steering. So it's existing coming out of the PCM into the factory connectors. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. In fact, our Gen 1 body harness, when we first released it, had the connector for E-Pass. We had anticipation that guys were going to start using that electric rack from the 11 to 14 cars. They never did because the thing's just mammoth and it doesn't really fit in Fox bodies very easily. But if you have an 05 to 10 car, or 05 to 10 car, and you put that Coyote K-member in there, the stock one, or 11 to 14 aftermarket version or whatnot, you can put that electric steering in there. Again, all you need is power, ground, and then the other connector, which is CAN bus. And that CAN bus signal can be used for any CAN bus related item or controller, data logger, whatever you want. That network, it's just a network. All you're doing is tapping into it. You don't want to interrupt it. You just want to tap into it. So hopefully, whatever you guys are doing for CAN bus stuff you're going to be using CAN bus to communicate with, this will definitely help you guys get that done. All right? All right. So, any questions? Did I miss questions? If you have a question about this, please post it in the chat room now, because it's going to be hard for me to go back through here. and so forth. I'll start answering some questions as they come across. All right. Viewer activity. Let's see. John Smeda says, thanks, Frank. You're welcome, John. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. I did see somebody ask me if I'm going to Texas 2K. I am going to Texas 2K with Alex. We plan to hit the road Tuesday night, drive through the night, get there Wednesday, try to get things set up, and then most likely Thursday and Friday. I won't be at the track too much because I'm planning on visiting some dealers in the area. I'm going to see if I can visit Circle D as well and get some video with these guys. Extensive Metal is going to be one of my stops. Gumby Saunders, which Gumby, thank you very much, brother. He had a problem with a fuse panel, sent it in. We're working on that for him, but he was nice enough to send me a koozie, which, of course, I gave away to our mechanic because he was jealous about the hat that Gumby gave me, which I'll have to buy a hat from Gumby because I want to keep Mike happy. The koozie would have came in real good use tonight. But he sent me a mask with his logo on it, which I used this afternoon, left in the truck. A mask that you no longer need in Texas. Check that out. So, a lot of fun. Having a good time. Let's see here. Zach Anderson, if you haven't ordered one yet, we're a little bit behind on those because we were selling another product and found out it didn't work. So we have like 20 of those products sold, and we're going to be filling those orders with the new ones that we're making. That way we know they work. And the way that kit's going to come out, it's going to be really nice. We got a jig set up on a factory engine with a factory oil pump. We're welding them as such. The windage tray is modified so you don't have any issues moving forward. Stock oil pan, a lot of stock gear so you don't have any issues moving forward. And I think it's going to be more rigid and better installed than a lot of the other stuff that's out there for you. Yeah, if you're on the waiting list, you're going to be good to go. Rican Stang's asking about Flanagan's Cup. Why would I have a Flanagan's Cup? I actually like the pink ones better. And Frank Catrone has an interesting question. He says, which method did you use from your aim dash? Well, the method I was lucky enough, since the Gen 1 control packs, maybe the earlier versions had the wires. I just wired right to there, and then that had its own power and ground to power its electrical system. And once I had that hooked up, I went into the aim data. I went to configuration with input CAN bus PCM. I found 11 and up Mustang. I selected it. As soon as I did that, I went to all my channels and I selected where I wanted my throttle position. If I wanted my throttle position to be pedal position or throttle blade position. Now it's tricky on that Gen 1, and I don't know if it crossed over to Gen 2 or Gen 3. 80% is 100% when it comes to throttle blade position. Pedal position is a 0 to 100% sweep. So I made that mistake, and some of the rules may have stated in American Iron that you can't limit throttle blade to limit performance. In some of my early videos, you can see how much we were limiting it. Luckily, I didn't win anything, so not really a big deal. Should have just ran nitrous on the bitch. All right, so Root Beer popping in. It says, only to be used explicitly to the purchase of tacos. I imagine we're going to be eating plenty of tacos when we go to Houston. So thank you very much. Yeah, so I don't know who I'm going to meet at Extensive Metal. I don't know if I'm going to meet the big boys, the guys from the show, or one of the salespeople there. Anyway, we're going to show you some cool builds. They got like 3 of them going on in there right now with their stuff, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see here. What all is going on? A Wild Horse and a pink Flanagan's Cup. Yeah, pink Flanagan's Cup are hot. These things are so thin, though. Literally, I mean, you wash them once or twice and they're done. But they give them away like they're hotcakes. I mean, it's the best damn advertising they can come out with. I think we need to come up with PBH cups like that and start throwing them around. All right. Cooter Baby, how we doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Late or not late, you're good to go. think the stream is healthy. I don't know why they keep telling me it's not. I think we're rocking and rolling here. So what else? Let's see. What else can we talk about? Yeah, have any of you guys used? Not this one. I was searching for Scotch locks and T-taps and shit like that, and I spotted this one, which looks really high end. Has anybody ever used anything like that? Because that thing looks hot. These don't look too hot. These I found on Wish. um, now, yeah, nitrous. If you have you guys ever heard of the Whittington brothers? I know this goes into the Steve Schuckenberg area, but the Whittington brothers. If you've never looked them up, look them up. They're in the 70s and 80s in automotive racing because of the amount of cocaine that was being pushed through the United States. There are so many just over-the-top automotive racing stories, because what does everybody who sells coke, it comes into a bunch of money do? They just go buy speedboats and NASCARs and Indy cars and all that shit, right? So the Whittington brothers were these guys that just had an immense amount of money all of a sudden. They get it, and these guys literally went to Le Mans, raced against like factory teams, and they ran, supposedly they ran nitrous on their Porsches. And these, years later when they did the restorations on the cars, because they were famous, they found all the trap doors in the boxes where they used to keep the bottles in them, and they would blow up an engine during qualifying just to be front row. And I think that at one point they were even sponsored by Apple. So think about that. Zach Anderson asks, what's the ETA on BBK swap headers? Someone asked, but I'm waiting on mine as well. The last ETA I got from them was the beginning of next month. We had about 10 or 15 sets of those on order with them between chrome and ceramic. So we are expecting to get them. They did tell us they will be coming out. There is no delay on the headers. Mid-pipes, that's another story. Control packs. The 26th of this month is a big day because supposedly Ford Racing is going to get caught up on control packs. There is a ton of people waiting on Gen 2 6R80 control packs. We're waiting on Ford Performance to really kick it into gear and get those things out across the board, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. No Godzilla control pack yet. This weekend, Paul from Paul's High Performance was at Bradenton. I feel bad that I wasn't able to go over there, but I'm going to try to visit with him later on this year when I go up to Columbus. And he was running that Godzilla Cobra Jet, and I think Evan Smith has a video of it up already. He was running like low 10s. I think it might have gone in the 9s. And he does have in that video with Evan, he shows a new intake manifold that's composite that's going to have a better throttle body angle. And it's a performance intake. Being that it's composite, most likely it's a Ford Performance thing to try to help sell these engines. So I would factor in that if you buy a Godzilla crate engine from Ford Performance in the future, either you're going to buy that intake right off the bat or it's going to come on it. So let's see. Rowdy Max. Do you need to eliminate for stock? What are we talking about here? Do you need to eliminate for the stock body harness, or do we have to use the PBH and the PATs? I'm not sure what the question is there. You may have to elaborate that for me, Rowdy, so I can read it better. Do you need to eliminate maybe PATs for the stock body harness, or do you have to use the PBH? I mean, when it comes to body harnesses on Gen 1, you're either using our harness or you're rolling the dice by making a custom one. So I really don't see why or how you're going to use the factory body harness, because the fuse panel is like this big. I mean, it's almost as big as the Ron Francis fuse panel, which looks like a California Crunch 1000-watt amp with fuses everywhere. So our body harness, even at $1,000, is going to save you time, and it's consistent. It's got consistent results. It's a known quantity. There's no gray area. There's a problem. You call us, we figure out the problem. Sometimes the problem lies on the installation side. Sometimes the issue's on our side. And we take care of it. Unlike Ford Performance right now, you can't call those guys. You're not going to call your custom wiring builder and go, hey, it's not starting. he's probably not going to answer the phone. He's dealing with you through Facebook. So that $1,000 pays for a lot more than just wire, if you know what I mean. And yes, you got to eliminate PATs. You're not going to use the stock cluster. If you are using the stock cluster, get ready for a lot of error messages. Get some black electrical tape out, and better use the stock steering column with the mobilizer to read the signal and program stuff. Might as well get that BCM in there. You might as well just keep the car stock or reskin an 11 to 14 car. Chase says, fill the PBH cups with JD. I'm there. Well, maybe we should make PBH cups. That way you guys can drink with me. Maybe we'll do a little drinking game on PBH Live. Root beer, my brother. Frank, have you seen any new Mach 1s yet? People are starting to get them. It looks like the handling pack you have to install yourself, according to Mustang 6G forums. That's not the first time I've heard Ford do stuff like that. I mean, back in the day, the Roush Mustangs, they didn't come built from Roush. You got a stock Mustang, you get a pallet worth of stuff, and they built it at the dealership. I know the splitters have always been something you had to put on yourself. But I wouldn't be surprised to do that. I have not seen one yet. I saw a Mach-E the other day. Looked pretty cool. How about the news that's going around? How about the electric Mustang by 2028? How about the news that before 2028, we may have a hybrid Mustang that's all-wheel drive? We've seen patents for all-wheel drive with the Coyote and the oil pan and stuff like that. The hubs on the GT350 were splined. How about all that? And by the way, how about the fact that if you do decide to put an E-Crate engine, when they come out, an E-Crate motor in your Fox body, you'll be in violation by EPA's rules right now. How about that? You would think they want to clear that up, wouldn't they? I think they should clear that up. Yeah, it'd be silly to tell Ford and GM that they can't promote E-Crates, because it also means that if you put it on an emissions control vehicle, that you'd be defeating the emissions devices that by the rules right now state put you in violation. Check that one out. Let's see if we can catch up here. That's it. Okay. I answered your question, Rowdy. Thank you so much. Jonsen 50. Had to read that one through again. What's the going price on a Gen 2 short block and long block? We have Gen 2 long blocks, I want to say $69.99. Crate motors, $79.99. Gen 2 long blocks that are converted to Gen 1 for $74.99. Cooter Baby, I've never eaten at a Jack in the Box, so whatever resembles a chili dog, get 2 of those for me. Because that sounds like the worst thing to try to drive around and eat. So 2 chili dogs. Or if they have a cheeseburger, pour chili all over it and see how much you end up pouring on yourself, the steering wheel, radio knobs, and so forth. And window switches. Oh, and then follow that up with a milkshake. That way you can't sleep through the night because you got up at 2 and 4 o'clock for diarrhea stops. I speak from experience. Yes. SC302. I can't even read that. SC. Why Canis Major? I believe they did the same thing with PP. Yes. PP2 packages. They had to add the splitters and suspension and stuff like that. Rican Stang, what's the price for a Mustang Gen 2 Coyote motor with your bracket for the alternator control pack on a K-member for a new Edge? Email us. I can put that all together for you or get you together with one of our salespeople. Info@pbhperformance.com. Email us right now or put a comment in this video. We'll get you those prices so you're taken care of and see if we can put something together for you to save you some money or at least make it a one-stop shop for you. How many of you guys do business with financing stuff? Did a lot of you guys use financing options for your Coyote swap, like Synchrony or PayPal. We've been looking into that stuff. It's just super expensive for us to use. So, you know, it's the kind of thing that it's discount prohibitive if we use it as an option. Frank Catrone says, "Thank you for the super chat, brother. Thanks again for the info last week on the AIM. Can you cover what the CAN bus displays and what we will still need to wire in ourselves?" Well, it's very similar to all the other gauges that we discussed before, right? So the Dakota Digital ends up being the most popular, but in general, your CAN bus is going to provide your RPM, even speed if it's a 6R80, and or if you have the manual transmission wired up properly. You're going to get voltage, obviously. Pedal position, throttle position, air-fuel ratio, water temp, or CHT, cylinder head temperature, it's inferred. One of the things you're going to have to plumb in there if you want to see it is oil pressure. Obviously, the computer does not read oil pressure. I have been told that Gen 3 does it. Haven't seen it myself. Might be true. I have to test it myself to know for sure. If you're using an AIM dash, you may want oil temp, so you can see the differential between oil temp and water temp. If you're road racing, that's important. If you're running synthetic oil, it's important to watch out too, because look at those boiling points on synthetic oil. Sometimes it's only like 230 degrees. These things run normal at 220, so keep that in mind. Those will be the things you're going to get. And then with an AIM dash, depending on which one you opt for, it may have... I mean, it's completely configurable. Honestly, you can see everything but oil pressure, really, and fuel level. So voltage, your battery voltage or alternator voltage, because that's going right through the computer, it'll display that. You can really watch a lot of stuff that you don't need to watch. But what's important, especially with the AIM, if you're looking at it from a driving perspective, even in drag racing, is pedal position would be interesting. Because even when I drag race, I used to lift slowly at the top end of the track for some reason. I was driving one of our customer cars, and I thought I was hauling ass, man. I was Burt Reynolds, Smoking the Bandit kind of shit. And sure enough, they looked at the data log, and I was lifting the faster I went. Talk about chicken shit. It wasn't fun. But yeah, that's going to get you a lot of the information that you want to watch gauge-wise. And then data-wise, it's all there. It records everything. The dashboard, obviously limited by space, is only going to show so much, but it records all of it. So once you go back into the race captured data, you can really look at everything. If there's some reason you need to look at VCT and stuff like that, you can do it. But if you're watching that, you're probably going to use a logger for your data, for your computer, or excuse me, your tuning software. So what I always did, I ran my AIM, it recorded all that stuff, but if I needed to record something from my tuner, because it was wired through the back, I was able to plug in my tuning device and data log it. I still have my N-Gauge. I'm probably going to switch to an RTD just so I can get my feet wet with it, because we're going to be selling it. So what am I missing here? You guys are talking all sorts of shit in here. Fermin Jr., 89 Fox Yodi. Sup, Frank? Finally getting stock 302 off my Fox body, so you'll probably start hearing from me about that control pack pretty soon. Absolutely, man. Congratulations. I know it was a big deal when I blew up my Windsor. I blew up my Windsor after I spent like a year building it. It was such a big deal. The first event I took my Windsor out, before I went coyote, I treated my dad and I brought him to Daytona International Speedway, and we signed up for a track event, and we were splitting the car. And sure enough, he got to drive like 2 or 3 times, and then I went out Sunday morning on a flyer coming out of the bus stop, all light in the ass and having a good time, as slow as it was because I wouldn't go past 130 miles an hour. Started smoking, and it blew up. It blew up. And I was like, now I spent some money on that engine too. We built it ourselves, still came apart. So mega squirt and everything. And luckily, right around that time, the Coyote stuff was taken off. I was going to put a 3-valve in my car. I actually wanted to put a 4-cylinder 2.3 in it. I thought that would have been cool for road racing. Light, move the engine back, that kind of stuff. Thank God I didn't do that. Let's see here. Janssen 50 says, best stock production small block Ford head. Man, I don't know. The best head I ever put on my car was the aluminum Y303 head, which is literally an aluminum version of the stock cast head with a little bit bigger valve. They were on clearance for like $500 from Ford Performance, and I had the wrong push rods in it, and I destroyed the heads. Ended up selling them. Alfredo Diaz says, I see a lot of shops use Synchrony, but it's sketchy if you have issues. I had to use it once, never again. I used it for my air conditioning system in my house when it went bad, and I paid that sucker off as soon as I had the money. I didn't want to even deal with 18% interest or whatnot. And unfortunately, what they do for the people using, the businesses using it, they charge you like double what credit card fees are. So we're talking about a crate engine and control pack and a transmission. That's $35,000. 1% means a lot. So we got to be careful with that stuff. And that's where usually some of the people financing need the help with, or like on a $4,000 or $5,000 range. But it's a competitive market. So if you got to start using Synchrony, don't expect package deals that are really, really sweet, Alfredo Diaz, what about Affirm? Yeah, Affirm we looked into. That was another one that was pretty pricey. But we may revisit it. It's something that people are used to using now, so it's become part of our marketplace. I know with PayPal on our website, you can use PayPal to check out, and PayPal will offer you terms on payments. I think it's kind of Affirm. I think it's what they use. But you set it up one-on-one with PayPal, so we don't even know what's going on. Let's see here. Alfredo Diaz says, can you wire in fuel level and oil pressure? Yeah, absolutely. I assume you're talking about an aim dash. With an aim dash, yes. I have a fuel cell. It's got a resistance style fuel level, which doesn't work with the 85, by the way. You got to use something different. Everything that AIM uses has to be 0 to 5 volt. So if it's resistance based, you have to remap it with a converter box to 0 to 5 volt, and it'll work. Could you wire in oil pressure? Absolutely. They sell an oil pressure sender. They give you 4 channels, sometimes 8, depending on what dashboard you have, that you can add sensors in. So if you wanted a suspension travel sensor and you install that, you can wire that in, and you can plot it, and it'll show you in your data log your suspension travel. Do you want to have fuel level? With fuel level, you can then meter fuel consumption, depending on how accurate the fuel level sender is. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. That AIM stuff is unlimited. That's what the pros use, and it looks gorgeous. And now with the days, Holly has one. I think it's like 12. Finnegan just installed one. It's like this big, and his dad, it's Hater Vision or whatever he calls it. It's pretty neat. Eric Copeland asks, is SCT going to be the next victim? London isn't supporting them anymore. It's the reverse. SCT was already visited. And what happened, they paid their fines. They made some corrections. They had a deal with the EPA and whatnot. What happened there, I believe, is they saw that Lund had been visited. And to avoid any complications with their deal with the EPA, they cut off Lund. So that's why Lund is no longer supporting SCTs, because SCT basically called them off. And that, obviously there's going to be bad blood there. Hey, been an SCT tuner probably since he started, and you're getting cut off. You know how much, I don't care what you're protecting, how much of a FU that is, So, and that's what we're talking about here, is the entire industry is under attack. And yeah, everyone's got vested interests to take care of each other, or to protect themselves from, but protect their vested interests, excuse me. But you also have to help each other. I mean, if this guy goes down, that guy goes down, and you don't go down, then why didn't you go down? What was the deal there? I mean, whoever survives this without having some sort of issue, if it's going to be the tune-pocalypse that we think it might be, if it is what the EPA says, and you come out smelling like roses, everyone's going to be looking at you like you're a rat. So you better start getting vocal. Everyone. California is a tough deal, because if you send enough product over the border to California, they tax you heavily. Really, really heavily. So some of the stuff that's going over there, whether it be for emissions reasons or just the fact that you want to avoid getting audited by California. So California is not the only state. Even Tennessee has that kind of stuff in place. I think that's another thing that's going to probably affect all of us here moving forward is you're going to probably end up paying taxes on everything you buy. Right now, e-commerce is on the verge of that. The problem is there is no unilateral system that will properly pay taxes to all 50 states. So a business like us that's selling to all these different states and countries has to monitor each individual state and then send them their tax money. What they should do is just come out and say, hey, there's a 3.5 tax federally on all e-commerce. And then the federal government should work on dispersing that tax money to the states. That way, at the end of the month, you know and I know that there's 3.5% on everything you buy. And at the end of the month, that check goes to the federal government, and then they deal with the disbursement. The problem with that is, anytime you start a new tax, that'll be the lowest that tax will ever be because it will only go up. They will find a way to find other uses for that money. So the turnpike in the state of Florida was supposed to only be taxed until it was paid off. That was what they sold you. The turnpike is 40-something years old, 50 years old, and they're still taxing us. And they keep adding more toll stations every time I go driving up the state, and it's crazy. So, let's see here. Insane Mustang, what's going on, brother? Says he missed the first half. We'll watch later, seeing if you found somewhere for a meet and greet during Texas 2K. I'm gonna look into that tomorrow, and we'll try to announce something. It'd be neat if we can get together like on a Thursday or Friday night, somewhere close by there. I haven't looked at the lay of the land there and what's the most popular place to be, but it'd be neat to put something together. I know the Lunds are going to be in town. Alex is going to be there, obviously. There might be some night activity. Just got to be careful because I heard the law in Texas is really, really in tune with what's going on at Texas 2K, and they don't want to see any meets and any street racing because of that accident the other day where some guy just killed people doing some donuts or some shit like that out there. Zach Anderson says, fire. Stupid question. And either way, it's fine, but I placed a big order with y'all. Will everything ship at the same time or individually? We typically will hold everything until we ship it together. If you need us to break it up, just email us and let us know. If we can make it happen where there's no additional shipping costs, we will. Terry Scott says, love the high quality info and great parts. Yeah, my Galaxy is PBH equipped. That's what I'm talking about. I love Galaxies. Terry, thank you very much for the comment and the compliment. Wild Horse 50 says, in Canada we have a nationwide goods and service tax 5%. That's not bad. The problem there is obviously then there's state tax on top of it. So if we're not paying the state tax on top of the federal e-commerce tax, I'm all for it. I don't want to pay 7% to the state of Florida and then 5% to the federal government to give it back to the state of Florida. That doesn't make sense. I don't know how they do it up there if that's the case. I heard in Canada, like you buy a car, it's like 18%. And in Wild Horse, you can tell me, if I go to the dealership and go buy a Mazda 3, is it 18%? Is a house 18% sales tax? Let me know. Because that's what I remember hearing when I got married in Montreal. My wife's family is all from Montreal, and they're wonderful. And we need to get back up there to see them. But I remember asking them, and it was like 18% was what they're telling me, tax-wise. Celine Gamer says, I need a price for a Gen 3 control pack, also price on your AC kit. Hey, brother, comment on the video or email me, please, and we'll see if we can get you taken care of. Terry Scott, anyone on the edge? Let's see here. Anyone on the edge, these guys make the right stuff. Oh, thank you, Terry. Again, with a great compliment. Levi Unruh. Levi Unruh. Got my Gen 2 with 6R80 last week. Just waiting on that control pack. Can't wait. Yes, we're waiting on 45 control packs that are sold or on back order. That's nuts. And Root Bear says socialism isn't free. My aim is not to make this show any type of political show, but they're kind of dragging us into it. So with the EPA doing what they're doing, then there's no chance of avoiding it. It's just going to be the topic until it's not a topic. But you're right. You're right. Yeah, insane. I heard Houston PD is ramped up, got to head a little far out of the city to not get caught. I'll keep a lookout on social media if y'all plan something. Absolutely, man. We'll put something up. It'd be nice to do something. Even if Alex won't be able to be there or whatnot, I'll find a place. I mean, if you have any suggestions on places out there that are pretty chill, maybe we can get have a bar area outside, that kind of stuff. That the cars are outside. We can walk around, not lose our spots. I know they just opened up everything in Texas, so it's probably going to be fairly busy. But let me know if you have any suggestions. Hit me up, Frank at PBHperformance.com, or hit me up on social media, that kind of stuff. Brian's Repairs. 13% in Ontario, no tax on used personal houses. Used personal houses depends on the province, generally 12 to 18%. Wow. That's all. So 12 to 18% if you sell your house or if you buy a car. Wow. Think about that, guys. That's a lot. I go buy a car right now. And any car you buy that's new is going to be what, 30 grand? 30. You buy a pickup truck, it's going to be 50 grand. We pay 7% sales tax right now, and you feel that. Imagine if it was 18%. Woof. Look out. Eric Copeland, thank you very much, brother, for the channel support. Thank you for all the great info and products. You're welcome. Thank you. It's our pleasure. Jada's Gaming Channel, 97 GT, who used stock K member. If you're going to use a stock K member for a coyote swap, get the acetylene torch with a cutting tip, and then go get yourself a nice welder. You're going to need some angle iron. You're going to have to cut up the K member and the oil pan to make it fit. I like saying acetylene, by the way. We're going to start wrapping things up here, guys, before it gets too late. But we'll answer some of these. Frank Catrone says, hey, Frank, do you control your electric fan with your dash or your control pack? I use the control pack. I might. I think you suggested in the last video, somebody asked me about putting it on a switch to maybe not use it during the autocross runs. I don't know if it's going to be a huge gain to do so, but I know depending on your electric fan, and if it's shrouded, if you're going fast enough, if you have sustained speed, that shroud may be hurting your cooling ability versus helping. We're only going about 50 miles an hour. I don't think things really start happening until about 60 or 80 miles an hour for that to be a potential issue. And that depends on your airflow characteristics with your radiator and your hood and all that stuff. Root beer, regarding Texas, Governor Abbott lifted the mandate here. He never should have put into place. However, businesses still reserve the right to require masks. Okay, so I should still bring some masks. Matt Long, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it, man. Nice little support super chat there. Terry Scott says, off topic, but PBH recommendations on fuel pumps and line size. Dash 6 will do everything up to, even boosted applications you can get away with. But I would be wary of that. If you're going to be boosted, the rule of thumb is to go dash 6 feed, dash 6 return. And then the regular fuel systems for fuel pumps, NA, I would stick to 255 to, let's say, 465. Anything between there are going to be more than happy. Dash 6, dash 6. If you plan on going boosted, dash 8, dash 6 return, and start looking at twin pump setups. Twin 340s, twin 465s, triple 465s. The more the merrier. Too much fuel pump isn't going to kill you. If you do have plans to, let's say, boost it down the line, and you don't know when that's going to happen, you could opt to do a twin pump setup and only put one pump in there. And then when you want to add that second pump, install it, turn it on. You can run the whole fuel system dash 8. If you're going to use the stock fuel rail, though, remember you're going to be going -8 to like -6 of the fuel rail adapter. So, again, that doesn't kill things, but it's the same stuff. You want to make sure the regulator's near the engine in that case, because then you're going to have to boost reference it. So, I would stick between a 255 to a 465 pump NA. And if you're going to do boosted, minimum for me would be twin 340s, and then going twin up or triple pumps from that point on. That's what I like. That's what I think would avoid any type of issues or booster pumps. You don't want to have to add a booster pump. Kevin Rogers says, I still need to find me a Gen 2 motor. Can't find any here in Virginia. You can find one here at PBH if you want to go new. We got crate motors. A little bit more expensive. Be mindful how much a used one is. I've heard people spending $6,000 on used ones for $2,000 more. You got a brand new one. Brian's Repairs, thanks for hanging in there. He's saying good night. Wild Horse 50, your viewership is going up. Good job, buddy. Nighty night, Frank. Guys, I'm going to say good night and cut out. Thank you for hanging in there at the beginning. Sorry I was a little late. Had a conversation with the boss man. Didn't realize time had lapsed. But we will be back. What about next Wednesday? I'm not going to be in town next Wednesday. We may do a short show from my cell phone Wednesday night. Look out for that. If I can put that together, get good Wi-Fi, we'll do it. Who knows? Maybe we can get some celebrity cameos from the Lund brothers, the Lund family, and Alex as well. So we may do like a short broadcast, 20, 30 minutes, just do with some synopsis of the trip and so forth, and who I visit, and when we get there, that kind of stuff. I will be keeping you updated on social media. Make sure you check out Alex's channel too. I'll probably be in some of that stuff as I'm helping him trailer it out there. So, yeah, fire up that second pump when it's party time. Put it on a hop switch. Root Beer says, adios, Frank. Thanks for all the info. You're welcome, guys, all the time. Next week, well, we won't do a heavy thing next week. One of the shows we want to do moving forward, we want to do a crate engine, what's available right now show, and go over what the options are from us and other entities out there. And if you guys have any suggestions for future shows, let me know. Email me, comment on the video, like the video, share it, let people know what we do every Wednesday night, especially if they're into coyote swaps. This isn't the most viral content in the world, we know that. But the more people hop on here, the more people may find out about it, the more people we can potentially help, just like we've helped you. So thank you very much for your support. Everybody in the super chat, really appreciate it. Texas, here we come. Next Tuesday, we'll be driving out there. Alex is going to bring, Section 8? Yeah, Section 8. He's going to be racing that thing all weekend. Hopefully it holds up, and we'll be back here by Sunday. So love you guys. Thank you very much for all your support always. And if you need anything, comment, email me. info@pbhperformance.com, frank@pbhperformance.com, 561-737-2331, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. pbhperformance.com is a website. We're here to help. Love you guys. See you.